Welcome, everyone, to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this podcast is about the ups and downs of dating and how to navigate through it. Today, my guest is Dr. Charlynn Ruan. Did I get it? Did I get it right?
Yes, you did. Perfect.
Folks, we practiced the other day, so she was nice enough to correct me a couple of times, but we were good. She's a founding CEO and a licensed psychologist in California, and she's also coaches online in over 40 states. Doc, how are you? Thank you so much for being on People on Dating. How's it going?
That's good. I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's my pleasure. So, Dr. Charlynn, tell us a little bit about yourself. What was your journey like to be a licensed psychologist? Today's topic, it's about dating and overcoming challenges to build the relationship we want. So what was that journey like for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, so as you said, actually I own a group practice. And so we're
Okay.
in almost every state in the US now. So we
Oh,
get to
great.
hear
Okay.
a lot about a lot of different experiences, different people all over the country and their dating experiences and divorce and dating and marriage and raising kids and, having alternative, configurations of relationships, polyamory, like all kinds of things that are now people are much more aware of and talking about in therapy. So it's one of our favorite topics. And it's one of the things that comes up the most in therapy too, is relationships, because that's where we derive our most joy as human beings, but it also causes us a lot of challenges and pain.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So Doc, in today's dating, I hate to say spectacle, but it seems that way because of my friends that are in their 20s. I'm 61, so it's definitely different for me. But when I was in my 20s and 30s, is today's society too hung up on standards and
Mhm.
requirements of each other compared to when I was 20 to 30? I mean, they
Yeah.
were there, but it wasn't so spoken as much. 'Cause, I mean, obviously because of social media, but
Yeah.
is standards just too high for both sexes?
Well, I think it's there's have you ever heard about paradox of choice? The more choices you have, the less satisfied you are with your choices. So
Makes
prior
sense.
to, online dating and social media and all of that, you had a pool of, I don't know, maybe more when you're in like college or in high school, you have a lot of people. But then as you keep getting older and older, there's a fewer people. And you're like, this person's great. And we align in our lives and it's wonderful. And you don't have a catalog of people in your phone and apps being like, well, but is this the best person? Is it like, so I think that's what it is. The standards are ever moving and people are like, well, maybe I'm missing out. And then they're thinking, well, am I good enough? And yeah, it's made it like a catalog experience. It's made it like shopping for a partner instead of who makes me happy. It's very hard.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So is social media to blame? Are we laying the blame on social media as the scapegoat? Because of, like
Well,
I said, because now we have more
yeah.
choices on both sexes.
Well, I think like at first with online dating when it came out, I mean, so I'm in my mid 40s. I remember when it first came out and it was like great. I can meet people. I'm not like limited to who I meet in a bar or like in my, whatever T-ball league or the things that people should do to
Yeah.
meet each other. They're like, now I can look around. And a lot of people got married through that or had long-term partnerships or found people. And it was just like a good thing. But then I think its golden age has really gone down and COVID has really made it like a post-apocalyptic hellscape of just like people not, it's made kind of like social laziness. And so a combination of the dating apps plus the social media where we have too many connections that are shallow. If we're trying to make an actual deep connection, we're not good at that anymore. And so people who grew up in the age of social media and online dating, they're not good at starting conversations in public. They don't know how to date. They don't take a risk. And they're just de-incentivized to do it. And everyone pretty much universally hates online dating right now, but they don't know
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah, I'm one of those, Doc, and I'm not a fan of online dating. I prefer to meet someone in person. But again, I grew up, like in the 80s when I was in my 20s. I like meeting people. And to this day, same thing. I like being surrounded by people and getting to know people right then and there. I want to see their reaction. I want to see their voices go up and down.
Yeah.
I can't tell on a text.
No. Well, and you also, when you meet someone in person, you meet them in context,
Right.
and you look and you're like, okay, are they like hanging out with people? Are they somewhere you're going to meet them somewhere you're naturally hanging out? When you're meeting them online, there's like you don't know anything. You don't know their friends, you don't know their family, you don't know what they do. That's why there's a lot of like catfishing, people lying, people
Yeah.
there's a lot of fakeness going on. And so, and you just can't connect. And also what people think they want in a partner may not be what they need and what they actually want. So they're picking from a list of people just based on pictures and quick split-second decisions, when really they don't really know what they want. And if they meet someone in real life, they might be like, oh, I didn't know that I always wanted someone like this, because I didn't know they existed. But
Right.
they don't have the opportunity to explore the way that they used to.
So how do we overcome that challenge of trying to find someone that should be right for us or hopefully is right for us, but if we're just relying on social media, Instagram or whatever, all these dating apps,
Mm-hmm.
how is that challenge overcome if that's all you're relying on? And like you said, now you're not getting the social skills because you're relying on texting too much.
Yeah.
My
Oh, yeah.
question makes sense at all?
Yeah. No, yeah. No, absolutely. So what I like recommend to my clients, I have different recommendations depending on like what their age is and what they're looking for. But what I usually say is like, get out in the world. You know, if you hate online dating, you have to pick. You have to meet people somewhere. So get out in the world, be open, join things like hiking clubs. There are now like more meetups and things like that, because
Yeah.
there's real reaction, to dating online. So people are starting to get creative. I'm sure there'll be some disruption in the dating market, and someone will come out with something probably old school, like meeting people like in person, like creating like things like that. But so I suggest do that. Like you're much more likely to meet people or meet friends of friends. Like get out of your house so that you meet people, and don't just like be scrolling, through apps or through social media. And if you hate it, then spend a couple hours a day doing that. There's people using matchmakers. Like people are getting really creative again, because it's just, they hate the online stuff. And then when they're doing online, I'll be like, okay, don't like shut someone out on a quick decision, right? Because
Mm.
someone's picture may not accurately represent. Show up. Like try to get from the match to a date, like a short date, like a coffee date, preferably something without alcohol, so you can see the person with clear eyes, and for a short period of time, because that also doesn't help. And like try people you wouldn't normally. Try to have it like, I'll give the example, like think of it like at the ice cream store, you're seeing everything under the glass.
Yeah.
Take a little scoop, that's your coffee date, and then you can decide. Don't say, oh, I don't like that flavor, if you've never tried it. And worst case scenario, you have a funny story. Best case scenario, you meet someone, or you meet someone through them, or you have an interesting conversation. So I think it's an openness.
Right. So meeting other people, going out, like I said, trying that different scoops of ice cream and all that. So how do you get now? I don't know the demographics of your clients. I'm talking about from age, but if you do meet someone there in their 20s, right? You talk about matchmaking.
Mhm.
Would that be considered if they're just used to only texting? They don't know how to interact with people yet because of, they're just so stuck on looking at their phone and on their laptop. How do you get them slowly
Yeah.
but surely? Because I'm pretty sure they're, no, this is the best way. I'm too shy. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Are we
Well, I
hiding
mean,
behind text?
yeah. Well, yeah, I think most people that are in their 20s really hate it. They do hate online dating just as much as older people. They
Ah,
really,
okay.
yeah. So they're open, but they're scared, because they're scared to get out into public and meet people. And so all those ones I will encourage, to either again try more people, because they haven't been in enough relationships. They haven't been on enough like dates. If they're weeding
Yeah,
them out too quickly, then that's not good. I mean, in a way that you're safe, because you're meeting again, like meet someone in daylight, and
yeah,
but try to not do the pen pal thing, because that also pulls people in. They'll just
yeah,
like message and then get ghosted. It's like you've lost momentum. You're not excited about that person. Try to get to the in person as quickly as possible. And then, then I just suggest that like get brave, try it. It's not going to change. It's like if you keep doing the same thing over and
over and
over,
over.
it's not going to get where you want to be. And younger people, there's more, at least. So I'm actually like in multiple states, but in LA is like where most of my clients are, since that's where I
Sure.
started. Like there's people don't tend to get married until their 30s anyway. So there's a
Okay.
lot of single people. It's just about like connecting with them. And
Right.
then the older ones, if they get like down on themselves, like all the good ones are taken, I'm like, well, but you're going through the wave of divorces of the ones that got married young. And then, like people who've gone through a divorce prove that they can do a relationship. They've done a relationship, and maybe if they've
Yeah.
worked on themselves, that's okay too. And then not get discouraged and tell themselves it doesn't exist, because you only have to do one. And so
Right.
you got to find.
But I think like you just hit it. Some people get discouraged because of their a string of bad luck. As I said, we attract who we are and all that. So when you
Yeah.
talk to your clients, let's say you got a client, someone wants to talk to you. Is there a step-by-step criteria that you put them through to, let's say, if you want to get them out there to meet people like meetup.com or get in social settings that they might be comfortable in? Let's say they're business minded. Again,
Mhm.
would you put them in those types of environments because now you have things in common?
Yeah, yeah. And I think, oh, and I didn't answer your question earlier about the matchmaker. It's usually older
Sure.
people that pick matchmaker because it's
Oh,
expensive.
really?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I never
yeah,
thought about it that way. Okay,
yeah.
okay.
It's expensive. And a lot of times too, what'll come up when they're older is they have a career or they've got maybe kids that they're raising, or they're like, I don't have time to go on a million dates. And so
Yeah.
they're looking for someone to do that initial thing. But I think the cost too for the barrier to entry on that one. But for them, I mean, part of it is doing the work on themselves. I'm like, okay, if you've gotten, usually I think in 20s, people are like, shh, it's all the people I'm dating. They have issues. They've got stuff. And then
Yeah.
at 30, like, nope, maybe it's me. Okay, I better go to therapy and figure out like why my relationships are all having the same kind of issues. So
Yeah.
working on what might be the barriers on their end. Like, are they not open? Are they too critical and using that as a way to keep people at a distance? Are they picking partners that like just are unavailable, working on that stuff with them? And then
Yeah.
also going through their list. I have them, a lot of them make a list of what are the things that you think you're interested in? Who is your
Okay.
ideal partner? And then we go into them and say, does this line up with the people that you're actually picking on the apps? Because I don't see that it does. So
Ah,
it's, and then, okay, then okay, now we've told me the things that you like and that are important. What are the ones that are absolute deal breakers? Some of them, things like having kids, that's a big one. Where you
okay.
live, like there's some stuff that are deal breakers. But then also, like, where are those people going to be? If you're
Mm,
an athletic, outdoorsy person, then that makes sense to be like in a hiking group or to like be in a co-ed gym situation and then talk to people. Or if you're not and you want to be like more like, it's hard for the introverts actually, is the hardest because people that don't
right.
get out and talk a lot, they don't meet as many people. And so they can end up just kind of passively scrolling apps and social media. And so then I have to push a little bit more to maybe meet friends of friends, do
Yeah.
things I'm more comfortable with.
You know, eh, I'm glad you touched on that because I remember being at some social events, whether it was a business event or a singles event, and I would see, especially more of the guys. You're in a bar setting or a lounge, and then I will see one or two guys just sitting in a corner somewhere, in my mind, I'm saying, why did you come here for then?
Yeah.
If because everybody's pretty much chatting with each other and all that. So, like you said, if you're like introverted and all that,
Yeah.
again, then you start off with, I guess, online first and then try to work their way up to meeting someone because they might be scared or too shy. Is
Yeah.
that yeah, go ahead.
Or
I'm sorry.
like if they have there's like what's that term, emotional support extrovert, like they
Yeah.
usually have extroverted friends, and so
Ah,
then
okay.
it's like go out with your extroverted friend, tell them that they're your hype man or hype woman, and like then it like makes it less awkward because they help. And then like, but they have to open. This is another issue, is that everybody wants to be pretty much in a relationship. Pretty much everyone I talk to wants to be in a relationship, and nobody wants to look like they want to be in a relationship. So I
Ah,
mean, it's like cabs driving around without the lights on, hoping that someone will just guess and jump in. It's
right.
like kind of got to let people know, like they're so afraid to look desperate, or for
Mhm.
men, they're afraid to look creepy. So it's like, the women are like, I don't want to look desperate. The guy's like, I don't want to scare anybody. And so nobody's meeting. And so the straight
Mm,
mixer events, a lot of people will avoid. So you kind of need, like you were saying with the networking, that's what made me think about that. Is like networking, hiking, you have an excuse, it's like,
yeah.
well, I'm not really here because I want to date, but you are like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. No,
Mhm.
like you said, everybody wants to partner up eventually and be in a good relationship. We talk with Dr. Charlynn Ruan, right? Doc, I'm going to butcher your name and I apologize. So today's topic is overcoming challenges and build the relationship we want. If a man ends up in the friend zone, right?
Uh,
The
uh-huh.
dreaded friend zone word for a
Yeah.
man. Is
Uh-huh.
there a way to get out of that? Some people say no. Doc, I'm going to say no. I think once you're in, you can't get out. Am I wrong, or is there hope for guys that end up in the friend zone?
I think it depends why, how it started, how it is. I mean,
Okay.
there's a lot of times where men will end up in that because either the woman's not in the spot yet to be in like a serious relationship, or she's
Mm,
in another type of a relationship. And then, because I really encourage people to like end up with their friends, but then that's the hard
Right.
thing. Someone has to start literally in that friend zone.
Right.
I think a big part of it is showing that you care about a person beyond, when it's a friend zone thing and a guy says it in a way that's like, well, I'm just here because I want to date and I'm resentful that I'm not dating her. And like, well, do you care about her as a person then? If you care about her as a person, that gets women's attention a lot of times,
Mm,
because a lot of women can kind of sense if they're just waiting and wanting to date. If she's saying I'm not available, but you're still showing up for her as a human being, you're already different than a lot of men in her world. And as
okay.
long as she doesn't have some attachment issues she's working through, that's going to like attract her. And if there's enough attraction and stuff there. So,
That's the key. It's definitely the attraction. Somewhat of, there's got to be some attraction from
yep.
at least her to you, and I mean, obviously him
Both
to
of us.
her. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, is there a way? So, do you let her know that, hey, I'm interested, but I know you're going through some stuff. You got some. I don't know if you could say you issues. I don't know if that's a buzzword now, but do
Yeah.
you? How do you not
No.
offend the girl that you interested in, but also tell
Yeah.
her that I do like her and I do want to pursue you? But
Mm-hmm.
some men are not going to wait, and some I'm pretty sure they will wait.
I wonder, yeah, I think it depends. If she's said before, I'm just not interested, and then a guy says it, well, then that's not going to work out. But if there's
Okay.
what I really have seen sometimes, and it's so hard, is that both people are kind of interested and neither one wants to admit it. And then that's just sad, because then someone has to take the initiative. But I think it's about like saying, like, you know what, you're like an amazing catch. I'd love to be with you. If you're not interested in me and we're not a good fit, then like, awesome, I'm happy to be your friend, like that's great too, and I want you to be
Right.
happy.
Mm.
But if you're ever interested, know that I would be willing to give that a shot. And I think that
Right.
that's just a way that's like, and you're still hoping for her happiness, and as long as she's not really weird, I think she'll be like totally fine with that. And she may have some sense that there's interest in there anyway, or not. I mean, really,
Right.
I have seen people that are just friends for years and
Yeah.
both are interested, and neither one has the courage to say something. And then that's sad. But it's sad the other way too, because like also, I mean, you don't want the weirdness in the friendship, and you don't want to miss
Yeah.
the potential of something.
And I
So,
think too, some guys don't want to, or even the woman don't want to damage the friendship because it seems like that might mean a little bit more than
yeah.
actually hooking up. And I get that because I've been there as a man. But sometimes, as I gotten older, and Doc, I just became bolder, and I said, listen, I remember I went to a speed dating event, and there you're supposed to wait until the end of the event and then
Mhm.
give the information to the organizer. On
Mhm.
2, 3 occasions, Doc, I just told the girl right there, listen, I'm going to pick you. I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I find you interesting. I would like to hang out with you. And if you don't pick me, no hard feelings. We'll just move on. And
Yeah.
believe it or not, I ended up getting a couple of dates because I was just bold enough to say something which maybe
Yeah.
before I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So should we have more, like you said, guys are maybe afraid to approach a woman because they're saying, "Oh my God, he's creepy," or "I'm going to be creepy." But
Yeah.
then, yeah, go ahead, Doc. Yeah, yeah. I know you want to say something. Go
Yeah, no,
ahead.
no, no. And this is the issue is it's like women want men to approach them, but they're not quite sure. And there's some that, there's just a lot of on out again, social media, right? Where like exposing some guy because he talked to you and, at the gym for 2 seconds. And it's just like,
Yeah,
come on, you know what I mean? It takes a lot of courage to like approach somebody. I think most women respect it and they're kind of tired of passivity in men, but it's
right,
not like aggressive, but just like, confident, exactly how you said it.
right,
Like, I'm interested in you. If you're interested in me, let's go on a date. Most women will be like, cool. Like, and that's going to signal to them, like, this is somebody who, is dating material because they have the
right.
confidence to say something. And so there's a lot that goes into that, especially when a lot of men are too afraid, too passive, I mean, I get it. It's hard and men don't want to be shamed. There's like research out there. Women's biggest fear of men is that they'll be killed by a man. A man's biggest fear of women is that they'll be laughed at.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So it's like,
100%. Yeah,
yeah. And so I think women don't realize and the power that they have and the courage that it takes for a guy to ask them out. But yet if they, so then they just need to learn how to say nicely, I don't think we're a good fit. It's not you, but
It
So
happens. Yeah. You're not going to be a fit forever. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Doc, I wanted to touch base on a couple of more things before we move forward. Is it possible then, if you do approach a woman, is there a way, I mean, not maybe face to face, but maybe stay to the side? I don't know, like to make it a safe space for the woman that the man, now obviously the woman got to find you somewhat attractive because I think what I've seen online, if a woman doesn't find you attractive, then they're going to call you creepy and why is he staring
Yeah.
at me?
Hmm.
But for a man that the woman does find attractive, is there a way to approach? Is hello, how are you? Good enough in
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
days?
I mean, I think, well, there's a lot of things. So women, again, remembering that women are constantly scanning for safety. And so
Right.
they don't know, and they don't know who's whom. And so I think one, it helps if you have other people around, that's like this, there's research out there if like a man posts pictures of himself with female friends, or if it gives him social credibility to have friends, and to have other people. So that helps be in a group. I think approaching, not being too close, not being too aggressive,
Yeah.
not making comments on her body. I mean, these are kind of obvious things, but some
Yeah,
men
yeah,
don't.
yeah.
You
But
know what I
some
mean?
guys don't see that.
No, they don't. So I think it's like a safe distance. You're kind of like it's like approaching, like think of it like you're approaching like a small animal of like, because there is that element of like women need to be safe, if like
Yeah.
I'm not scary, send the signal, smiling, making eye contact, not like lunging at her, all that stuff. Like I think it matters. And then women sometimes struggle to send again the I'm available signal, so I will help women coach that. I'm like, okay, so this is how you because when people aren't meeting in real life, I feel like I'm having to train them, like, and then you make eye contact and you touch their hand and maybe you like, I'm like, oh, there's all these signals that we're mammals, so we're
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
a dating dance. And so people are really bad at their signals nowadays because of especially the younger generation, not the older generation that has got, they really developed during a time when people interacted with each other a lot more. But I don't know if that answers your question,
yeah.
but
No, it does. I wanted to talk
yeah.
more about the younger people since you do coach them and talk to them, because again, because of social media and things like that, and maybe they're too shy.
Mhm.
Um, has any So again, let's talk about more of the man perspective, because most men, me
Mhm.
included, we want the respect and, like you said, not being laughed at, but just the respect. Um, if a man, again, and I know I brought this up earlier, to approach a woman that he finds interesting. Now you want to do it in a public space, maybe, because at least it's a
Mhm.
safe space. I like what you said earlier. If you do have a social media presence, but have pictures with friends and some
Yeah.
other females, I love that.
Mhm.
Um, would that make a woman at least somewhat say, hey, this guy is not relying on just dating, he has other things
Yeah.
going on? Does that make sense? I don't even know if I,
Yeah. Your
yeah.
best, I would say, for if, when I talk to single men about how to do it, one of your best like wing people would be couples.
Okay.
Because if you're with single women or like a woman who's, like a lesbian or like she didn't not choose you, you know what I mean? Or like your
Yeah.
sister, like whatever. But like if you could be with like a married couple or a group of people or like a women, like that shows that like people want to hang out with you, that you're with stable people. It's just like women's brains, like from biological level are tuned safe, unsafe, safe, unsafe. And so
Right.
like if you're with people that like have stable lifestyles and that comes across and you're with another woman, but not one that you looks like you're dating, because then she might be like, well, he's not available. Then she's going to be
Right.
like, okay, this other woman, and women biologically, men don't really care what other men think of the woman they're with as long as they're super attracted. At least that's what the research shows.
True.
Women look and think what other women think of men because they
Yeah.
don't know doing it. But biologically, it's like, is he safe? Am I good? Is everything, is this? Because there's a lot more like risk to a woman going into it than there are to men. So they have
Yeah.
to, they're doing it, but they're just, assessing these. So really working with those biological, and you can look them up online. There's things around like how to be less, scary to women or how to approach, but that's one of them. Have like a married couple friend. And then if you have like a married female friend that's like, you're such a great catch, like why are you, then have her like, and her husband go out to like a bar with you and like meet people that way. Have her like,
Yeah.
post stuff with them, be parts of groups of people where they think, then a woman can imagine herself being in a couple with that person. And so,
Right.
they seeing it in the context versus like if you're in a bar, the context tells you nothing about the person. Also, like a sports team or something like that, do it with other friends. But
Yeah.
then women do the opposite, where they'll create this tight knit little girl group, and then men are like, really, you expect a man to come like have the courage
True.
to pick
Yeah.
out one of them? And I'm like, no, you guys need to disperse, and the men need to have like more people with them. The women need to not do their little like clique of thing, so it's sending the signals.
And
Yeah.
and you hit that. Oh my God, that part right there is a home run, because if a man sees a woman and she's with like three, four other girls, 9 out of 10 times they're not going to approach. I know I won't. I'm like, I'm not going to. Nah. And then the girlfriends are going to judge, or some guys don't care.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest with you. It'll be hard for most men, including myself, to approach a group of women and
Yeah.
I'm interested in one of them. But like you said, if hey, spread it out a little bit and all that, I love that. First of all, Dr. Charlynn, I want to thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really appreciate it. Talk more about your therapy services. I know I looked at your website. My God, guys, I'll put that on the show notes, but talk a little bit more about your therapy services. I know
Yeah.
you
So
offer different versions, right? If I'm
yeah,
correct?
yeah, yeah. So it's a group practice. And so I started it about 5 years ago in California, but now we're all over the country. So we
Okay.
do therapy for individuals, couples, families, help people with divorce, help people with, fertility issues, help people with dating, help people getting over divorces, all kinds of things. And so we're available online, and then we have in-person offices in LA and in New York City.
Okay.
Um, and our focus is on really like high functioning people. So it's called Thrive, because the whole point of it is don't just survive, thrive. So it's like
Right.
these kinds of conversations. Like, it's not that you have a mental illness that you are in therapy. It's because you want your life to be everything you want it to be, and every part of it. So,
Yeah.
and we're easy to book online. It's mythrivepsychology.com.
No, sounds good. And anything else you would like to promote? Any upcoming speaking TED Talks? Because you have a few in you if you haven't done one already. I was looking at your website, I didn't see it. If I missed it, then I apologize.
No. I mean, I just do podcasts and do various like media articles and things like that right now. But yeah, there you go. I will let you know if I end up doing a talk. But
Yeah, believe me, you'll probably be in one sooner than you know. And tell us that website one more time where people can find you.
yeah, it's www.mythrivepsychology.com.
Yep.
And yeah, they can book a free consult with a therapist very easily.
Yeah, I'll put that on the show notes. Well, Doc, again, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, great. Thank you. It was so much fun. I
Yep.
appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.